Welcome. Welcome to the Halloween special of your spooky real estate weekly news.
This is it. He's going to stir up a big sort of pot of investment advice.
That's right. It will be either a treat or trick.
Yeah.
I'm Peter.
I'm Gary. Hi.
Yeah. Welcome to another Saturday, another weekly live stream regarding the Australian real estate news. We are so happy to be at Darling Harbour today to bring you this episode of this week's live stream, and also you can see we have gone through a little bit of upgrade. With a new costume, I have a new hat, and then Gary got this awesome tie.
Keep an eye on you.
Yeah, the market watcher.
That's it.
Yeah, and then we are going to try to make it this one a better one. So we got more lightings in, we got more setup done, and hopefully you can enjoy the news a little better in a higher quality. So with no further ado, let's start with the Western Sydney this week. Obviously every week there's a big track record coming out from Eastern Suburb, another sale in Vancouver, Mosman, all these names and all that. But people has been a little bit interested about what's going to happen with the other areas, because they say, we're talking about $20 million, $10 million or $5 million. I'm like, maybe $1 million. So let's just see where you are going to be priced out. If your budget is about $1 million. And then the first article was from the Daily Telegraph. It was happening today, and it says the Western Sydney suburbs where $1 million prices will soon be normal. And Western Sydney are not your usual, have in mind like Inner West. Inner West is way beyond $1 million already. Now we're talking about areas like Glenbrook, Berala, and Cecil Hills, right?
Hills, yeah.
Yeah. So they're about the median price for these areas has now about 960,000, which is very close to hitting that $1 million mark. And we're talking about a suburb where it's about 30 kilometers commute from the CBD area, and then the prices for houses is already at the $1 million mark. It looks like this year has not slowed down at all in terms of house prices.
No.
Yeah, it's in fact it's just shooting over the sky at the moment. Where whatever that's $1 million at the moment is about 750,000 back about 4 to 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So these family-friendly houses on the larger block are really the ones that people are looking for at the moment. So if you are going to jump into the homeowner market and become someone that owns your own place, then making sure that jumping now, otherwise it looks like this booming, even all the way stretched out to Blue Mountains. Glenbrook is at the bottom of the Blue Mountain. Still.
Oh, Glenbrook, yes.
Yeah, see this guy called Chapman Real Estate. This guy is saying that in Glenbrook, at the bottom of the foot of Blue Mountain was also booming.
Yeah. Well, you can still get a train there, into CBD pretty well.
That's right.
So,
Yeah, and then another thing is people are looking for these particular properties where it's either near water, like near a beach, near an ocean, or it's near a park, or it's something that with the lifestyle. Because now with the internet and work from home happened after COVID, a lot of these people seem to be really trying to invest into this type of areas where travel and commute become less of a problem now, but size and lifestyle become more and more important. And let's go to the next one. Is how COVID has changed the way Aussies view home ownership.
Yep.
And this is, I think, a bit of a continuation of a particular topic, we actually been touching bases on almost every single week, like what people has been looking for after COVID changed them from time to time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to, well, I think what everyone's saying, and I think they're right, is that people have discovered being able to work from home and have meetings, etc., and that bosses have found that in general, from what we've read anyway, that the productivity hasn't gone down with people working from home. I saw an interview over the week by Michael Sayer. He's a guy from runs a software company in the US, and as he said, if one of his staff had come to him before COVID and said, "I want to work from home," he was "You're leaving," everyone had to come to work. But now, all of a sudden, what's been forced on him was everyone had to work from home, and productivity is kept up. And now he's saying, "Well, I'm going to continue it," and he's the boss. So, if that percolates all the way through, then you're going to find a lot of people will only work in an office, say 2 days a week if they have to go in, and that's why places like Glenbrook in the Blue Mountains would obviously be booming, because people can see that coming long term.
That's right.
Then, as I said, Glenbrook is probably hour 10 minutes by train, straight into the CBD. So, if you can swap your lifestyle and move out to somewhere like Glenbrook, which is pretty nice, and just commute in 2 days a week, so.
That's right. And a lot of houses, like a Barala, where it's sort of in between Olympic Park, Lincoln, Bankstown, in that particular pocket, people are start to not worry about too much around, so whether it's going to be close to train spot, because public transport has becoming a little bit of what do you call it? There's less and less people using it, basically. We're actually going to have another news article talking about a luxury house and luxury cars. And then, there's also a really interesting fact about luxury cars, in this year for some particular brand, and why people are really, why it happens. I think it's just people really start to looking more around that functionality, that additional space, that size, among any other things. And then this article is really talking about it as well. So people wouldn't really mind about buying just a little bit further out, or not very close transportation, but in exchange for the life, for the size, and for the comfort of it, in another way. Everyone changes the way of living from time to time, and then I think COVID is a special case where at the beginning everybody has that fear of unknown because they don't know what's happening, and then later on slowly they start to go into the era of protection, where everyone doing a lot of hand sanitizers, doing a lot of face masks, just to protect them in the best way they can, and try to do the social distancing and all that. Where now, I think in Sydney, from the way I look at it, a majority of people just doesn't give a damn anymore. This morning, I was trying to get in the lift, and the lift says 3 people maximum in the lift. And the lady was like, come in. I said, no, it's just don't worry about it. Just come in.
I think
not as a good thing. It's not a good thing to promote, for sure. It's just the reality now.
Well, I think the public transport will come back.
It will.
I will come back. I think once we get over COVID, people will go back on the buses.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. So as you can see, there's a lot of changes around that as well. And then a recent Westpac poll showed 77% of Aussie now prefer houses with backyard and outdoors entertainment areas especially valued. Which is, in fact, it's always been like that. But the only thing that may be a problem is when you have all these things and then everybody is buying it, it will cause the prices to rise to a point where fewer and fewer people can afford it, and then that will push people into the areas like townhouse and duplex, and then townhouse duplex will get all prices as well, so people get pushed back into the apartments.
Yeah.
So in Sydney market, there's always a reason for anything to exist, because the total number of people are there, and there's a lot of outsiders want to come in as well. Eventually everyone will have found their own position.
Their apartment, yeah.
Yeah.
Just move.
That's right. Yeah, and even the apartment new blocks, they're more and more emphasized more on rooftop garden. They have a lot of common facilities. One of the projects we're doing in St. Leonard's have over 20 different facilities, even include like an indoor golf, a Pilates room, a private cinema, a mineral pool, all of that. To make it a perfect balance between the living and entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's just see, in the next few weeks, we probably will start to see some of the really crazy prices happening in townhouses now, and then maybe sooner or later, apartments. Because it happened before, I think it
It'll
will
come
happen
back,
again.
but I don't have to come back very quickly, but
Yeah.
it will come back.
Yeah, and one of the way to come back is by people outside of Australia at the moment. So let's move into the next one, which is a country that has attracted a lot of attentions recently. That is the U.S. The U.S. election will be taking place on the 3rd of November, which is the same day as your son.
Oh,
One of
it
your
is.
sons.
Right, it's my son's birthday, and your birthday.
Yeah, and at the moment, it will be something that's really gonna affect a lot of things. We can see there's a tension between two parties, but whoever wins and whoever loses, it will not just affect the U.S. by itself, but I think it will also affect the Australian property market too, because it looks like a lot of U.S. People from U.S. are now searching for their dream home, not in U.S. but in Australia at the moment. Yeah. So let's go into some data to have a look. The article provided by REA Insights, U.S. property seekers dreaming of Australian oceans and beaches. Yeah. Let's go to this paragraph. Year-on-year changes in searches from overseas property seekers, September 2019 to September 2020. Yeah, as you can see, the U.S., the United States had an increase in terms of searches on REA.com.au by 32%. So that's a big jump.
Increase, isn't it?
Big jump. So within a year, there's 30% more people look at Australian property compared to the same time last year.
Yeah.
And then there's also an increase in Hong Kong, which is 10%. That's easy to understand. And then there's 5% in Singapore.
Which is surprising.
Yeah. Well, Singapore prices, I think,
Yeah,
is more about that. Yeah. And then if you buy a second home or third home in Singapore, or if you're overseas purchaser try to buy in Singapore, the stamp duty is insane. Yeah. The tax is insane. Yeah. UK has dropped by 10%. New Zealand has dropped by 12%, and China has dropped a big leap by 49%. Yeah. So now it looks like US is going to climb up as the number one investor for Australian properties as an overseas party.
But as you said, China, they don't get realestate.com.
That's right.
So it could be a lot of people still looking, but on a different site.
Another thing is, you see all these recent sales we have seen in the eastern suburb, like Vancouver, they're all Chinese buyers.
Exactly.
Rose Bay, Point Pepper, Vancouver, Beverly Hills, all these areas, they're all Chinese families. But there's two words in front. There's word in front of it. It's local Chinese.
Local Chinese,
Yeah.
As
So
against people already.
that's right.
stuck in
There's
China
a,
at the moment.
yeah. So with more and more Chinese, and the way, like I'm a Chinese, the way the majority of Chinese buyer buys is they prefer to buy it through a friend or through a referral or through a buyer agent rather than just to search online and send inquiries and make phone calls and send emails and negotiate prices.
Yeah, they can't come and see it.
Yeah. So keep going to the next paragraph is the top countries for overseas property seekers on realestate.com.au. As you can see, US is topped out at number one at 400,000, more than 400,000 searches compared to between the year of September 2019 to September 2020. And then followed by UK, followed by New Zealand, followed by Hong Kong. So UK had about 300,000 searches. New Zealand had about 200,000. UK had about, Hong Kong had about 180,000 searches. Singapore had about 150,000, and China has about 65,000. Yeah.
But it's interesting to see the searches from the Americans have gone up. So they've gone
Especially
up
in
to September,
July, see?
they've gone up to June and then slightly trailing off at the moment. But
Yeah. See April, so it started went up steadily from February 2020, or
Yeah.
actually from December last year, and
Yeah.
that's exactly when the first time COVID happened.
yeah,
You know, so when COVID happened, people start to search a lot of about Australian properties in the US.
I don't think many people in the UK and America knew about COVID until about February. That's when it really hit them.
That's right. That's right. So the US really start to, as soon as
March.
you know the people knows about COVID, they start to look at other places for
Mm.
options. And Australia looks like it's one of their favorite place.
Yep.
You know, let's just keep down about where the U.S. The reason why we talk more about U.S. is because U.S. Is a big signage about investors that's actually on the market at the moment. So where the majority of the U.S. people are investing could be used as a guide or as some sort of as a guide to let people understand where the trend is going to be. So at the moment, according to the ABS census of population and housing, at the year of 2016, there are 5 suburbs with a lot of US-born residents living in at the moment. And the top one is Mosman.
Yep.
Yeah, and Manly, you know, and then followed by Melbourne. Well, Melbourne, I think is Melbourne CBD.
CBD,
Yeah,
presumably.
CBD. Yeah, Surrey Hills. Yeah, and South Yarra. So mainly around sort of Sydney, Melbourne.
Yeah.
You know, even the bigger
As you'd
cities.
expect.
Yeah, as we expect. But what's interesting is the next one, which is the top search suburbs by U.S. property seekers in the last 90 days. You know, and that's number 1 is Byron Bay. You know,
Yeah.
Byron Bay looks like it received a lot of attention recently.
It has. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's got no sand at the moment, so they've lost their beach.
Yeah. And then followed by Manly,
Yep.
Bondi, Mothman, and Noosa Heads.
Yeah, which is Noosa's, people don't know, it's to the north of Brisbane, so it's equivalent of, I suppose, the Gold Coast, but north
Yeah.
of Brisbane.
Yeah, yeah. So as you can see, these are well, except for Byron Bay, lots of sand. Everywhere else is ocean, is a beach.
Yeah.
You know, so they.
Noosa lost their beach a few years ago, but they've got it back now. So, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So as we can see, this. I think Byron Bay had a lot to do with the. You know, the celebrities' influences as well.
Of course,
you know, like
yeah.
Chris Hemsworth, he lives down there, and then attracts Nicole Kidman. You know, and attracts like Zac Efron, you know, all
Yeah,
these
I know that.
Hollywood celebrities that are all going down there, which is why people like to look at all these places, you know, and keep going down. Let's have a look at what projects, what development that the U.S. property seekers are looking at. Topping out at top 5 are the Heritage Collection, which is one of our listings in the Rocks. We also have King and Philip, which is a very prestigious building in the heart of city.
CBD, yeah.
Next to Hyde Park. And 17 Spring Street is in Melbourne CBD, very high-end development. Victoriana, 20 Queens Road, Melbourne, Victoria, also, you know, CBD, and Blue, which is in Lavender's Bay or Melson's Point, which is just about a bridge away from
Yeah.
the CBD.
Right across the...
Yeah, and all these projects come with fantastic views. All these projects are very close to the center of everything.
Yeah.
Yep. Which makes sense. And then followed by most viewed listing by U.S. property seekers. You know, ranking number 1 is 56 Deepwater Road, Castle Cove, followed by Byron Bay, of course.
Yeah.
Then Sydney, Macquarie Street. That's just the best areas in the city. Followed by Vaucluse, eastern
Yeah.
suburb, and then followed by where's this? Wolfstein,
which we haven't got a clue where it is.
which we haven't
So that
really
we know
got.
it's in Queensland. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah. But
Presumably it's on the coast. Somewhere.
that's right, because by the trend of it, it looks like it's definitely somewhere on the coast.
Yeah.
You
I'll have to look that up.
know. Yeah. All right. Okay, let's move on to the next one, which is something that I'm a little bit interesting. I'm really interested because two of my favorite things is actually in this article. Is the
Recessions. You like recessions?
yeah, and financial crisis. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And premium property markets and luxury car sales hold strong despite recession. You know, premium property and luxury cars, right? Two of my favorite.
Yep.
Australian property prices have largely remained steady during the COVID-19 recession, and new data has revealed house prices have thrived in some of this country's most high-end suburbs, signaling demand for premium property is still very much alive. Yeah, 100%. If you have been watching our past few weeks shows, you would know that what has happened in the premium end of the market. It's like record prices are being beaten on weekly basis. Australia now have properties that sold for $95 million for one house. And then auctions are now over $20 million now, in terms of auction, records. So it seems like the premium property market is receiving its boom. Going down the article, we had Australia's top 10 prestige gross suburbs, top 10. So you can see this areas like St. Lucia in Queensland, and at last year this time it was around sort of like $1 million mark in terms of median prices. Now it's about 1.5 million.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's what 50% increment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's huge, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, that's right. And then Queensland and Castle Creek in New South Wales, Clovelly, Clayfield, Vallara, all of these areas are receiving a really sort of boom. And we're not just talking about the boom that over a particular area. We're talking about the area that's already a prestige area, where around last time this year, the price is about $1 million on median prices already, but this year still increased like crazy. Like from 1 million to 1.5 million in a year is just, unbelievable. And some area, like a Vallara, which is already at about 2.5, well, it's about 2.9-ish. I think September last year, 2.93 million, and now this year it reaches 3.5.
Yeah.
So it's just $500,000, even more, as it's already high
600
price.
grand, yeah.
600 grand.
But I mean, proportionally, compared with St. Lucia, it's not as much.
It's not as much, yeah. But St. Lucia in Queensland, we're talking about $1 million area in Queensland,
Yeah.
which is,
Sure.
already high. And then, another thing is these are the areas that actually have more than 30 sales recorded as well. So these are not the area where there's only one or two sort of really, overpriced,
yeah.
high-priced properties sold. It's actually more than 30 sales over a year. And then followed by top 10 prestige growth suburbs by city. And then obviously Sydney is always where we are very interested in. So in Sydney, we have Castle Creek, we have Clovelly, we have Wallara, we have Hunters Hill, we have North Bridge, we have North Bondi, we have Manly, Mosman, Bronte, and Beverly Hill. These are the top 10 areas that has got over 30 sales recorded within a year time. And then despite its already high prices, the price just keep going up. And you can see, I think you made a very good comment. They're all around sort of that in sort of harbour.
Yeah, if you look at a lot of those suburbs which you wouldn't normally expect, places like Castle Crag and Northbridge, a lot of those areas of those two suburbs have got water views to the inner harbour, or middle harbour as they call it,
Yeah.
which is a bit just slightly north of the actual main Sydney harbour.
Mm.
So, yeah, I mean, they've still got a lot of properties there which have water views, and that's why they'd be up there.
Mm.
And they're very close to the downtown CBD, and they've also got excellent access to good schools. So.
Yeah, so it's hit all the boxes.
Yeah.
Tick all the boxes. Yeah. There's also many other different reasons why this price is high. Talking about, increment over different suburbs and all that. We're not going to go into too much detail about that because of the time constraint. But there are a lot of areas in Sydney, like being already a prestige area, increased by another 20%, 23%, 24% within just as little as a year time. Now, let's have a look at the cars as well. So in the article, we talked about the prestige houses. Now we talk about the good cars. The biggest winner of the luxury car market is one of our older friends. Guess which one it is?
Audi.
Audi. Well, Audi is not
No.
even on this list. Yeah, unfortunately, it's Mercedes-Benz.
Mercedes-Benz.
Mercedes-Benz. It's the growth is from the A class. So it's not the S class, the C class, the E class hasn't really attracted a lot. Or average is about 40% more compared to the same time last year. But particularly on A class, it has grown its September views by 159% year by year on year.
It's growth in
Yeah.
grown its what? Sorry. It's
Yeah, so it grows its September views.
It's
by-
sales or views.
Views.
Oh, views.
Views, yeah,
Ah.
views. So it means more people are actually looking at it now compared to the same time last year. And
That's
the
because they've got
number-
nothing else to do now.
Yeah.
Because of COVID.
Yeah, but also I think that A class means a lot of people who used to drive, let's just say a Toyota or Honda or in that range are starting to look something more, a better
Upmarket.
brand,
Yeah.
a macro market, something a little bit better. And like we touched base before, because the public transport has been slowed down quite a bit recently because of the COVID. A lot of the passengers has been reduced. The seats are now, because of social distancing.
Yeah,
cutting
people don't
half.
wanna-
People
don't
don't
wanna
want to
use
get. People don't want to use the train. I can always find a seat on the train anytime I travel. People probably want to travel in style now. That's how. And also, another winner is Maserati.
Yep.
Maserati. This is actually two of my favorite.
Yeah, my neighbour's
model.
just bought a Maserati.
Really. What model?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's blue and it's a SUV.
Oh, okay. Levante.
It's only come out of the garage about twice since he bought it.
Yeah, Levante. This is actually in here as well. So Gran Turismo and
I think
Levante.
a lot of it may be as well that they've got $150,000 capital allowance.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's what got him going, I can tell you.
That's
So,
right.
basically you can buy something for your business up
Mhm.
to $150,000 and get immediate 100% write-off.
Mm.
So that will have got a lot of people thinking, well, why not buy a car? And especially with interest rates being so low.
That's right.
So
That's right. So Gran Turismo and the one you new sport Levante are receiving 103% increment and 92% year-on-year increment as well. So it looks like the the market is really going towards its way where the high end of the market stays strong and then stay stable, and people are really trying to live in the style and travel by style
Yep.
until this is all go back to normal. Yeah, give people time to think. So that leads to the next article, which is 1 in 4 Australia have found time during lockdown to manage their money. New searches shows. So like I said, people now to get a little bit more time. So instead of considering, where they need to watch a movie, what movie they want to go to, what bar they want to have drink at, there are thinking about where should I invest my money to.
That's right.
You know?
Well, they all sit at home watching YouTube. And
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
these people telling what to invest in.
That's right. That's right. Like like us.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not really telling people where to invest. We're more about just analyzing the news. But data doesn't lie. Numbers don't lie. So we're gonna show you some real numbers that happened very, very recently to let you understand that what is going on in this market. So a lot of people start to invest in different things, but according to ING research, 44% of the people participating in the research seeing property as the strongest investment option on their horizon.
Well, I think as interest rates come down, people suddenly realise they can't just leave the money lying in the bank. It's not getting any interest. And I think a lot of people as well are now looking at their super pensions, super. Excuse me. And a lot of people just used to leave their super and never look at it until come retirement. But now they're looking and seeing what it's invested in, etc. And
That's right.
got a bit of concern.
Yeah, and not only that, around a quarter believes now is a good time to climb the property ladder as well.
Well, it is. I think over this next year, as I said last week, will be a time when you look back as a my view is that the market's gone up. We had the hiccup in 2017 because that was self-induced with the Royal Commission, and then we've gone back up on the growth sector. We will now hit a plateau around about next year. I think my view is it can't keep on going like this, and we'll plateau. We may in certain areas come down by about 10%, but there'll be the weaker areas as they are now, and then 2002, second half of 2002, certainly second half, will be off and running to the races again. So, in for another 4 or 5 years of good growth.
That's right. And then just scoring down, the improved, basically the clearance rate are almost hitting 80%. It hit 80% last weekend, but it's actually around 80% almost every single week for quite a while now.
Yeah.
And as we always say, the three indications of a good market would be the rising in median prices, which is here.
Yep.
The high clearance rate, steady high clearance rate, which is here, and also the shortening of the times on the market or days on the market. So you can see in the traditional way, Sydney houses will take about 45 days to and units about 46 days to sell, where now it's down to 37 days for houses to be sold, and apartments are taking up to about 48 days. So you can see the market is definitely going towards a more I wouldn't say better or worse. I would say just a quicker turnaround market. Yeah. And it seems the prices are going to be more stabilized as well.
I think they'll stabilise.
Yeah.
But as I say, I still think when you look in 5, 6 years' time, you look back in the next year and think if I bought a property then, it's a good time to buy.
Yeah. And the last sentence of this article, or this news article, has said that the apartment market is a weaker market, highlighted that it's 73% clearance rate against 83% for a house. Well, 73% is still very high, but there's the prospect of investor returning, attracted by the positive gearing opportunities. So everyone, and we already seen as well, investors are now start to go back to the market and looking for good opportunities now, where it wasn't there before when the prices rise too quickly, too high.
Yeah, I think they had problems with making a return, and the other thing is, of course, when we start to get in investor areas, we've got these large vacancies because all of a sudden, great big sectors sort of disappeared.
That's right.
Students and people in the inner city, people who worked in the inner city, they, if you're an investor, you take the fright, don't you?
That's right.
If you've got no tenant paying your rent, then you've got to do some drastic action. So
that's right. That's right. So anyway, looks like once the investor coming back to the market, I think things will get a lot better. in terms of the prices and everything. And this whole lockdown, this whole international travel, I know that's still gonna go for a while, but definitely while, not forever.
No, I mean, I think we'll be in lockdown. I think we'll have no international travel till towards the end of next year. But that's fine. The rest of the economy can keep going. It's obviously difficult on the hotels and the airlines, etc. But and obviously travel agents and people like that. But if we can get our own internal tourism going, like I would imagine certain areas of New South Wales have never had it so good with everyone having to stay in New South Wales, and also if we can get things like our weddings back and our celebrations back and all that kind of thing up, then get people back in the hospitality industry, then we'll be running pretty well, especially compared with other areas of the world which may not be in such lockdown, but nevertheless they've got major issues now with recurrent COVID incidences.
That's right. All right. So last one of the week. It's a very warm-hearted article. It's a Riverview family leave the hidden time capsule for new owners to find. This is something that happens in Australia, which I haven't really seen this type of things in any other areas. Yeah. So this is very, very interesting. They found a time capsule when they do renovation about 4 years ago, and they found it in the kitchen bench.
Right.
Yeah, in the bench top, and then inside the time capsule, it's some news article at that particular time, and then
when? Does it say when it was?
Let's have a look. I haven't really seen when it was in the article. Maybe I missed it somewhere. They just say somewhere around 9 years ago or something. Yeah, 9 years ago. And then when they have left it,
so they've done the same, basically.
They
put a new one in.
That's right. A no short time, some treasures.
Well, that's historic as it is, isn't it?
That's
it's
right.
only electronic now.
Yeah, and they leave a calculator inside of it to prove or to showcase example of old technology. And then also email addresses, just in case in the future people still communicate by email.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it'll all be on Ethereum.com by then.
Yeah. Oh, email are becoming less and less now. I think people are now more communicate on, say, instant chatting programs like
That's right.
WeChat, WhatsApp, and then sending files in these photos and pictures and all that as well. Emails, from my line of work, which are highly reliant on written agreements, even now emails are very, I think I've reduced the usage of email by 30% already.
Yeah.
So they have done the same for the next person, and then see what happens, after years and years. So,
God knows what I put in a time capsule at my household.
Put one in.
Max singing.
All right, that's it.
Okay, well, is that good? What time is it now?
It's about 45 minutes. Today we're going to cut it short a little bit. Yeah.
I want to know, did everyone, all the Chinese people, did you all watch the AFL final last week, like I told you to, or the NRL one, or both?
No.
You can't, if you want to become Australian, you've got to know the difference between AFL, Australian football rules, and rugby league, right?
That's right.
And it hit me as to why we've got a problem in Melbourne with COVID.
Why?
Well, if all the women look, see, it's because the AFL players all wear tight shorts. Whereas the rugby league players have got more circulation. It's very important, getting circulation with COVID.
Sure.
So I think that's what it is. So that's the reason that Melbourne went into lockdown, because basically they're all playing AFL and they all got tight shorts and they all get COVID. Whereas now they've stopped the rugby league, the AFL, and etc. Then Melbourne will come out of lockdown now.
Finally.
You don't believe me, do you?
Oh, well,
I think, it's very active. I think we'll have to get a bit of a research going on because I think that's what it is.
yeah. I love Australia. It's got a very, what I love about Australia is it's got its own culture,
Yeah.
but it's also very open to any other culture as well. So in Sydney, you have rugby, you have AFL, which is very interesting sport. Growing up with Chinese in China, we have never really get the opportunity to know this type of sport.
Do you have any sports?
In China, and also it's really depend on where
Work.
well,
Study.
as a matter of fact, being as sad it is, growing up in China, study is your main objection.
right.
Yeah, they always cancel, the PE classes, and then
Extra-
change into a
Extra engineering or maths. Or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, that's true. It's true.
No, I know. I'm sure it
yeah.
is. When I've been to China, through with Max, etc., with all his friends in China, they all go off at weekends and do all kinds of extra English or extra maths. Or,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, you think, God.
Yeah, English, math, chemistry, and physics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So whereas if they go out into the fresh air,
Yeah.
they will choke in Beijing.
Well, not at time when I was a little boy, but maybe now. That's probably why there's about 65,000 people searching on IEA about Australian properties.
Yeah, that's probably it. You know.
Yeah, yeah. I know.
It's
I know it
hitting a
is.
balance, isn't it? It's like everything. We don't work hard enough. We play too much, but it's
Yeah.
the other way over there.
Yeah, this the other way. So but I think it's getting a lot better as well.
Yeah.
Now they're adapting a lot of newer programs, and then even the government has been always putting in public and saying, we are not really trying to force our kids into a particular thing. We need to let them grow in their own way, and then we
Yeah,
can add
organically.
more.
They're all different.
Yeah, we need to add in a little bit more extra classes. So you can see if now you go to areas like Shanghai, where I lived in Shanghai for 2 years, you'll see there's a whole building after building block where kids can study programming, music
nice. Yeah.
instruments, singing classes, dancing classes, piano playing. Maybe it become a little bit too much because now anytime after school or over the weekend, it become a parent's rush game about how many classes you can fit your son into
That's
on
right.
a Saturday.
Yeah. I know it's big like over
yeah.
here. All the extra stuff after school.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
tremendous.
Like if you only had 2 or 3, then you'll be ashamed at the parents' talk. You have to be top at 5 to be able to qualify as a mother or parenthood that really look after children and doesn't let him to lose at the start. Yeah. So different things. I think we can bring this maybe more into a little bit of a culture talk. I know we're going through the news and articles every month.
Well, it's
but the
important,
culture
isn't
talk
it?
is interesting now.
Come from a swimming centre today, and all the kids are learning to swim, and they love it, etc. So,
Yeah, my son loves it as well. He really dives in this little pool with the granddad, and then has his little flickboard, and trying to. And he's only 3.5, and but he just enjoys it.
they
and,
love it.
and he can swim from maybe this end of the table to that end of the table, and he said, "Oh, it's easy." I said, "Why don't I drop you in the big pool?" He said, "No, when I grow up."
There we go.
Cool.
Okay, well, see you next week.
See you next week. This is Peter.
I'm Gary, and I'll keep an eye out for you.
I'll keep the the hat on to spin my magic. All right. All good?
Yep.
Cool.